welcome everybody. We're going to get going here now. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, last week we were zeichet to finish Torah Chaf Hey, lesson 25, and it was pretty amazing that we saw actually on the Monday class that there was a direct crossover between lesson 25 and the Chacham, the Tam that we were learning, which is fantastic. But now we're moving on to Torah Chaf Vav, lesson number 26 in Likutei Moharan. And interestingly, if you look at it in this book, we're on page 140 in here. It's literally only one page. It's a very short. It's a short Torah, this one, and it's going to take us. We'll finish this Torah today, and we may even move on to the next one today. Normally, one lesson in Likutei Moharan takes us many months to go through. And this one is one page, short one. Like I said, we'll either finish it today or we'll finish it and begin the next one today. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So it's continuing. So let's get into it. Where the link is in the chat. If you want to find the text on Sefaria, the link is in the chat. You can connect to it. So lesson 26, Torah Chaf Vav, page 140 in volume 4 of the BRI Likutei Moharan. So once again, we are still in the stories of the wise men of Athens. Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah meeting with the wise men of Athens and their discussions. Right? For those who haven't seen these discussions before, this is the men of Athens were considered to be the wisest people in the world, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah was considered to be the wisest of all the rabbis. So when they got together, the Talmud records their discussions, and they're wild. They're very unusual and strange. But they're obviously, when it's the wisest people in the world speaking, they're meant to be deep. There's meant to be something more to them. So Rabbi Nachman goes through a number of these interactions between the wise men of Athens and Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah and explains them on a deeper level. This one in particular, it's very medayik in the Hebrew language, Aramaic/Hebrew language that is used over here. You can see deeper things going on, which is very interesting. Okay, so it goes like this. This is Lashon Rabbeinu Zichron Livracha. This short Torah is directly from the manuscript of Rabbi Nachman. Ritzitza demayas beveyusei. A chick that dies inside the egg. Heicha nafek rucha. How does its soul elevate out of the egg? Because it's closed. It's sealed, right? Obviously. So that's what they asked him. They asked, the wise men of Athens asked this to Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah. When a chick dies inside the egg, how does its soul escape the egg? Va'amar lehu, and he answered to them, B'haina da'al, the same way it came in. That is his answer. That's it. That's the statement. That's the discussion of this Torah. Rashi explains, Ritzitza demayas, we kind of already explained, is an efroach. The word efroach in Hebrew is the word for a chick inside the egg, like a developing chicken fetus, I guess you call it. Shemeis b'soich klipasa, that dies within the shell of the egg. Okay, that's the brief discussion. Let's see what we can learn from this. We'll see a little bit from here, and we'll see a little bit from Rav Kivak, and then we'll see where that takes us. Ritzitza, says Rabbi Nachman, Ze efroach. This is referring to an efroach, which is the Hebrew word for a chick inside the egg. And Ze bechinas tzadik. This also refers to the concept of a tzadik. Why? Why does the word efroach refer to a tzadik? Because there's a pasuk that says, bechinas, like it says in Tehillim, Ayin Beis, Yifrach b'yamav tzadik. In his days, a tzaddik will yifrach. Yifrach means to, in a certain sense, it means to bear fruit, right? And you'll probably all recall that on Friday night, in Kabbalah Shabbos, we say another pasuk, right after the Chadoidi, in Mizmor Shir L'Yom Shabbos, at the end of it we say, Tzaddik katamar yifrach. right? Ke'eres balavanon yisgei. A tzaddik, like a date palm, will produce fruit. That's what yifrach means, right? Like be fruitful, kind of. Flourish. Oh, that's a good word. Yeah, that's a good word. Flourish. Thank you, Vered, resident Hebrew expert. So the pasuk says, Yifrach b'yamav tzaddik. The pasuk in Tehillim says, this is the word Yifrach, is what a tzaddik does. A tzaddik produces fruit. A tzaddik flourishes, right? What does it mean that a tzaddik produces fruit? So we know that we are people are compared to the tree, to trees, and fruit-bearing trees in particular. And a tree that bears fruit is what we're supposed to aspire to be. What are the fruits that we bear? How do we flourish in this way? So there's a few ways of seeing it. One is that through our children, we have children. They're like our literal fruits, right? Then they carry on our legacy. We leave something behind with our children. And also the things that we leave behind in the world with the good things that we do. The mitzvahs, the chasadim, the good things that we do that leave a mark in the world. That is our legacy. So we're going to see maybe there's a little bit more to it than just that simplistic view of it. So let's see. So this is what the chick inside the egg is referring to a tzaddik. And they asked him, Ritzitza demois beveusa. So demois, that's from the word mace, to die, right? Beveuse is the word for, like, there's a tractate in the Talmud called Tractate Bea or Beitza, right? And so in Hebrew, the word for egg is Beitza, but in Aramaic, the tzaddik turns to an ayin. So the tractate is called Bea, or here Beusa, Beuse, right? It's the same letters as the Aramaic word also for prayer, for tefilah. In Aramaic, the word baya in Talmud, if anyone learns Talmud over here, baya means not like in modern Hebrew where it's a problem. It's similar, but it's a question. I'm looking for something. Ask, just like a question is a bakasha, because I'm mevakesh something from you. I'm requesting, I'm desiring to get something from you, right? So beuse is the word for prayer also. So they asked him, Hatzadik, Shememis es atzmai. What does he do? What does the tzaddik do? He kills himself. What does that mean? He puts in tremendous self-sacrifice. He's moser nefesh, right? When we use the term sirus nefesh, that a person is moser nefesh, it means that they give everything they have. They give every last drop of energy to something. Sometimes it means you're giving up your life. There's people right now that are moser nefesh, literally, to save Klal Yisrael, right? Hashem should protect them, but you know, in your avodas Hashem also, we have sometimes things require us to put in, to really give self-sacrifice, to go beyond what we feel we're able to do, and even hit it even harder, right? This is the avodah of tzaddikim. Tzaddikim are giving everything they have to the world. They're giving everything that they have for Klal Yisrael, for the entire world, really. So they asked him, the tzaddik shememis es atzmai, that's killing himself, that's sacrificing himself, and he's giving up his life. He's putting every ounce of himself into his prayers and his supplications, his tefillahs. Be'eze mina makoimos mina tefilah, which places within his prayers tzarich lo limsor es nafshe b'yoser, does he have to the utmost give everything he's got? What place in the prayers does he have to sacrifice himself and put in as much energy as possible and give everything that he's got, right? Ritzitza demois beusa heicha nafek rucha. Where should he put all of his ruach into? What's the place within that tefillah where he has to give everything he's got? That's how we're understanding the question over here. And the answer was heicha da'al. The place which the simple translation was, how did the soul come out of the egg from the bird? The same way it went in. Stupid, right? Like, that's how he's answering them. But heicha da'al means not like that. Hainu, eich sheyesh le'laha le'es nitzotzei hakedusha. We know that, a little bit of background that we all know, but we have to say it to get our bearings over here. is that everything that we do, particularly in the realm of tefilah, is to find and extract and elevate the sparks of holiness that are found without the creation. Right? When the creation took place, there was Hashem made it so that there was the vessels that were created in the beginning, the Kabbalistic vessels, they received light that they weren't able to hold, and they shattered. And those holy vessels, from the very beginning of creation, the shards, the pieces of that shattering went all throughout the creation, throughout space and time, throughout spiritual, physical, souls, everything. It can be found in places. It can be found in certain times. It can be found in spiritual striving, right? The way we relate to space and time. There's sparks that we have to elevate. So whenever we find ourselves in a certain place and there's a mitzvah to do, there's something to be done, we are in that place to behave in a way of kedusha, and that releases those sparks of kedusha that are hidden in that place in space-time, and allows them to be elevated and put back to where they're supposed to be. That's called, in no uncertain terms, tikkun olam. That is the reparation, the fixing of creation. That's what it means. So, and one of the main places, so where does this happen? It happens when we do a mitzvah. You put on tefillin in the morning, you light Shabbos candles, right? You make kiddush, eat hamoitzi, you make Pesach, all the mitzvahs, any mitzvahs that we do. When we do mitzvahs, we are collecting these sparks of kedusha, right? It could be when I am facing tremendous challenge, a test in kedusha, and I overcome that test. I pass the test, I overcome, and I hold off, I hold strong, and I do the right thing. That releases a spark of kedusha. A very, very special place where this happens is during prayer, during tefilah. Tefilah happens to be this thing where we really interact with time, right? Because we have to daven 3 times a day, right? And it's crazy. We daven the same words 3 times a day, every single day. And it's, what am I, crazy? What am I saying the same thing for over and over again, 3 times a day? The Arizal says that it's very important to know that each one of those tefillahs that we make is a tikkun. And each one of those tefillahs that we make attaches to something that only happens that one time. Because in this particular year, on this particular day, and in this particular place, there, and with me, particular person, there's a certain tikkun that's going to take place then. And if I miss it, it's gone. I can't do it. I can't go back and fix it, right? So each one of those tefillahs has a very special tikkun to it. So it says, what aspect of the tzaddik's prayer does he have to particularly pay attention to, and particularly put his energy into and self-sacrifice to the place where he's going to be malin etzotzes kedusha, where he's going to raise up these sparks of holiness. Hainu eich shenichnasim boy machshavos zaros. When the tzaddik is davening and he's focused, but then foreign thoughts come into his mind, right? You know, whatever they are. This happens to us, obviously, also. I'll just make a reminder that we say many times, but Rabbi Nachman is talking about a tzaddik right now, and the special tikkunim that they make during their tefillahs. But we have to remember a very important principle in the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, which is that what we're talking about applies to us on our level. Every person on their own level. The same thing applies. Okay, it's maybe not the same level of tikkunim, rectifications that the tzaddik's making, but to us it applies also. So Rabbi Nachman's saying, this is unbelievable, that when you have these thoughts that come into your mind during prayer, right? You're trying to stand here and daven, right? And focus. And like, you got, sometimes, I don't know, I'll speak for myself. Who knows if you get like what you have to do that day, what's happening in the office that day. It starts running through your head, right? What's, sometimes just songs from the 80s and 90s start running through me. I don't know where this is coming from, right? And like crazy things, thoughts that come into your mind. Sometimes they're bad thoughts. Sometimes they're inappropriate thoughts that come into our mind, right? But right in the middle of tefillah, it's like I'm trying to do something here. What's happening over here? So Rabbi Nachman says that experience of thoughts coming into your mind during tefillah is specifically a time for tikkun. How? Tzarech laha'aleisam. This is the things that you have to elevate. Those nitzotzei de kedusha that are coming into your tefilah those thoughts that are coming into our tefilah at that point are sparks of kedusha coming that need to be elevated. That's why they're coming to us in that place. And through us being able to stand strong, to allow them to come, and to allow them to go. I'm saying because sometimes the more you focus on something, the more it stays strong, right? But getting rid of those thoughts and focusing on the tefilah is actually making a tikkun, is actually releasing a spark of kedusha. In another place, Rabbi Nachman says, wild, I can't remember which Torah it is. In another place he says that or maybe it's from Nassim, that these are neshamas. These foreign thoughts that come to us at this time are souls that are coming to receive a tikkun. All this stuff is interrelated. Like we think it's one-dimensional, right? That sparks of kedusha are just whatever. I don't know what that means in our minds. So I don't know what you picture when I say sparks of kedusha, but I'll tell you one thing: it's not what we think. It can be souls. It can be primordial creation holiness, whatever that means. That needs to be elevated. Like we don't know what we're talking about here, but we have an inkling. We're trying our best over here. But there's souls coming into my tefilah that need to have a tikkun. And so if we do what we're supposed to do, and we ignore them and we focus on the kedusha, we actually elevate, we release, we make a tikkun, a rectification for those sparks, those souls that are coming into our tefilah at that time. Crazy, incredible, wild stuff, right? So this is what he says. V'tzarich la'alesim k'yedua. Sham tzarich loy limsor nafshoy. That's the place where we have to put our mesiras nefesh. That's the place in our prayer where we have to give everything we got. I'll just, he doesn't mention it over here, but I'll just add it in over here because we talked about it before. But there's a very, very famous idea from Rabbi Nachman that is tremendously powerful and helpful. Right? Ramata said this when he came, the first time he came here, 3 years ago now. That Rabbi Nachman says that it's a indisputable fact that we, as normal humans, are only able to hold one thought in our minds at any given time. Right? We can't have two thoughts in our mind at any given time. So it sounds like a limitation, but really it's a tremendous gift, because it means that if I can guide my thoughts towards something else, I'm able to remove an unwanted thought from my mind. Rabbi Nachman explains it that our mind is like the way that we relate to our thoughts is the way a driver relates to his horse and buggy carriage, whatever, right? Maybe we'd say car nowadays. I don't know, but meaning that if you're on, you're riding your horse. Believe it or not, I've never been on a horse before in my life.
Oh my God!
I know. You'd think I would be on a horse. I'd be the type of person who would have been on a horse, but I go camping. I like the woods. I like the forest. I like outdoors things. I've never been on a horse before. Frankly, I'm a little afraid to go on a horse, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, but Rabbi Nachman says, just like the way I've seen it anyway, is that you can pull the horse to the right, and the horse will go to the right. You can pull the horse to the left, and the horse will go to the left. Our thoughts are like a horse, meaning they're not us. Our thoughts are constantly flowing. We can't stop them, right? It's very extremely difficult to stop our thoughts. People spend hours and hours and hours in meditation to try and calm the mind from the constant flow of thoughts. Our minds are constantly thinking, and we have the ability to steer those thoughts, left or right, whichever way we want them to go. So if we're in a situation where we're being overcome with thoughts that we don't want to have at that moment, if we can guide them and direct them to something that we do want them to be on, we're able to let go of those other thoughts. And it's not always easy, but in tefilah, especially organized tefilah, it can be very easy. Why? As long as we're aware of it. Because we're reading from a book. We have words there. We're like, we have guidance. So if we're saying along and we're mumbling along the words like 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 we say sometimes before we start shul davening, someone should get up and yell, "Let's get ready to mumble," right? Because very often we're just mumbling and mumbling and mumbling. We shouldn't be doing that, right? We should be focusing and thinking and everything, right? But sometimes when we get into mumble mode, right? So we gotta be, and then thoughts start coming, right? We gotta be like, I see what's happening. Let me focus on the words I'm reading. Let me focus on the words I'm reading and think about it. And now my mind will be occupied in there. And those thoughts that were coming, which were sparks of Kedusha that need to be elevated, which were souls that need to be rectified, that need to be released, are able to be released and rectified in the world. And this is what's happening. This is what's happening when we're praying and foreign thoughts are coming into our mind. This is what we have to do. So he says, the Arizal, he brings down from the Arizal over here, Reb Chaim, that this is why it's so hard to maintain clarity of thought during tefilah, because it is this time. It is such a powerful place and such a powerful time for a Jew to be in that it's why it happens. It's why all these crazy thoughts come into our mind. You don't find yourself wandering off into thoughts when you're watching a movie. You're focused. It's easy, right? Or when you're involved in other things, you don't get the same thing. But when you start to pray, whoo! I'm very curious if other religions have this problem, or if it's a uniquely Jewish thing. Like, just you start to pray and all the crazy thoughts come in, right? It's powerful time. So Rabbi Nachman is saying, and we're going to start to get to something now, that where do we have to put in extra effort? Where do we have to go into Mesirus Nefesh mode? Where do we have to go into self-sacrifice mode? Specifically in that place where there's something very powerful happening, and therefore something comes to challenge us in an extraordinary way. Right? We might think that that's the place where I got to be like, oh, it's too much for me. It's too hard. I can't do it. It's not good. It's not working. Right? No. He's saying you got it wrong. That's the place where you got to dig deep. Why? Not because just do it. Not because, just try a little harder. Don't be a wimp. No. Because the reason why this spiritual endeavor that you're going through is so difficult is because there's something incredibly powerful that's happening. And now's the time to dig deep. That's why it's happening. You don't want to dig deep when you're cleaning your house and you get a little tired. Okay, use that at the time when you say, I need some me time. Fine. But when it's a spiritual pursuit and all of a sudden you get to this place where you feel that it's something's stepping up against you, that's how you know you're on the right track. That's how you know something big is going on. And it's difficult and it's hard and it's a test. That's where you got to put everything into. Yeah. So this is, right, so he says a little bit later on, over here, that this is why he's connecting it to this aspect of the Yifrach, what's the pasuk? He quoted here, Yifrach b'yamav tzaddik, that the tzaddik in his days, Yifrach, flourishes, bears fruit, right? Why? Because it's specifically in this situation that he is able to gather sparks of Kedusha, sparks of holiness. He's able to effect rectifications to the world through this experience that is going on. That's why. So he's literally gathering together holiness. He's causing big change to happen in the world. He's causing goodness to overcome evil through what he's doing. That's the inyan of tzaddik. That's why he's yifrach. That's why he's fruitful. That's why he's doing this. And so too by us. We find ourselves in these situations in our tefillahs. Okay, it's fine. You want to say it's not on the same level as the tzaddik? No problem. But we have to remember that each of us in our own level is accomplishing something very special. And it's not just that we're, there's a lot of aspects to prayer, to tefillah. One of the aspects that maybe some of us feel, especially in his poitadus, is that it's an opportunity for me to express what's going on inside. It's an opportunity for me to unload, right? What's happening inside. Maybe I think it's an opportunity to connect to Hashem, and maybe it's an opportunity to think about myself and make some personal judgments and improvements. You know what? It is all those things. It really is. But we can't forget that there's something also very, very deep going on here. Crazy things are happening when a Jew does a mitzvah. Spiritual things are happening when a Jew is davening, is praying. There's tikkunim, there's unbelievable things happening. So when it's difficult, it should be tremendous chizuk. When I first heard this concept, honestly, it gave me a lot of chizuk, a lot of strength, a lot of inspiration in davening, because at least for the first, few days after the first time I learned this, thoughts would come and I'd be like, oh yeah, right. There's aspects of kedusha and souls that are flying around, and I can help. I can do something. I'm accomplishing something, right? It can be very inspiring. Give a lot of chizuk. Okay, so that's the first step in this Torah. That's the basic understanding of this Torah. Everybody with me? Yeah? Thumbs up? Yeah? Okay, good. All right. I got 2 thumbs up on here. Thank you, Sandra and Alter. Okay, let's go. So let's see, what does Rav Kivak have to say over here? I'll read a little bit. I don't have too much. A few highlighted sections in the Torah of Rav Kivak. We'll see. I'll be honest with you. This Torah of Rav Kivak over here, on Torah Chaf Vav, on lesson 26, is 5 or 6 pages long and gets into a whole discourse about Pesach and how it relates to this Torah. And it's very, very awesome, but it's very long and it's not exactly where we're holding right now. So we're just going to pick a few things that relate very much to us and how we're learning this, and we'll leave Pesach off maybe till Pesach time, or the next time when the planets align and we're learning Torah Chaf Vav right before Pesach, maybe. Who knows? Okay, this is like this. Klal hadavar shesabed be'atuna roitzim lishbor esa efrayach. I love his words so much, Rav Kivak. He says the main principle that we're dealing with over here in all these stories that we're learning over here, but this one in particular, is that these Sabed Be'atuna, the wise men of Athens, they want to break the Efrayach. They want to break the egg. They want to destroy us. They want to pull us down. Adam sharoitze lehisroimem lehichanes el kedusha, a person who wants to elevate themselves and come into kedusha. Heim oimrim she'ein ma ligdol v'lifrayach. They tell us, you're not going to accomplish anything. What are you doing? What are you wasting your time? You're not going to get great. You're not going to flourish. You're not going to make fruits. Tzadik katamar yifrach ki nafik ruche. And you think it's going to be tzadik katamar yifrach. You're going to flourish like a date palm. Ki nafik ruche. But when your ruach, when your spirit departs, that's from the beginning line of this Torah. Ha'adam ma'abed es ha'cheshech. When a person loses their strength, and we find ourselves in a place where we don't have that strength anymore, where we're struggling, right? This is the place that the wise men of Athens are trying to bring us down into, right? They're like the representation. I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet in the Monday share of the Chacham and Tam. They're like the Chachma, the Sitra Achra. They're like the toxic wisdom, right? And they're trying to pull us down. So, like it says, when a person is experiencing something like this, he says to himself, "Where am I? Heicha nafik ruche." So, the beginning of this, when we said over here that the wise men of Athens asked them a question: the egg that dies in its egg, Heicha nafik ruche. You could read that as, "Where did your spirit go? Where did your spirit go? What happened to your spirit? What happened to your spirit week in school? What happened to your energy? Where is it? What happened? What have you? Where's your connection? Where's your inspiration?" Va'ana b'hainu da'al, and he answered them in the way that it came in. Im kishenichnas lecha machshavei zares. He answered them like this: if machshavei zares, foreign thoughts are entering into your mind during your tefilah, if they're trying to pull you down, if those wise men of Athens are injecting these thoughts into your mind during your prayers, Daika Oz, specifically and exactly at that point is the place where you have to put in your energy, where you have to give it all you got. Daika shenichnas lebilbulim b'tefilah v'torah his. It's specifically when you come into a place of bilbulim, confusion, right? In the time of davening or learning or in hisbodedus. Bezeh ata mesaken hakol b'shleimus. That's the time when you can make a huge tikkun, a huge rectification b'shleimus. A big, complete, whole rectification. So now understand what it is that you can do, what you have to do, and what you can do. So I don't know if we went over this before, but there's like this brilliant thing that I heard from Joey Rosenfeld, where he I told you this already. Okay, so we spoke about this before. The inyan of daika and afal pikein. Remember this? So he went through, he figured out, he's a genius, this person. He figured out that these two words, these two phrases, are very unique to Breslov, and really give over very strongly a kind of like one of the main big picture aspects of Rabbi Nachman. Daika and afal pikein. Right? So daika means specifically. Right? And if you remember, I mentioned that he went through a computer program and searched all of the other Hasidic Sfarim, everything, to find how many times are these words, daika and afal pikein, how many times do you find them in other Hasidic works? And he found, over here it was like, 10, over here 4, over here 12, whatever it was. Some had a larger amount than others. But in Rabbi Nachman's Torah, it was over 1,400 times that these words are used. Daika and afal pikein. So daika means specifically, meaning, like we're saying over here, that when you find yourself, because we might think it's the opposite, when you find yourself in a place of challenge, when you find yourself in a place of darkness, when you're struggling, when things in the world are coming up against you, daika, specifically in that place, is the place that you can find the biggest light. Specifically in that place is the place where you can make the biggest rectification, which is what we're saying over here. Right? And it's the same thing with the phrase va'afal pikein, just slightly differently. Right? It's afal pikein, you would translate maybe as in spite of. Right? Meaning when it's dark and it's hard. But afal pikein, I'm gonna, in spite of that, I do what I need to do. I can make tremendous light, tremendous rectification. And it's specifically from these places. And as we know, if anyone knows from personal experience, when you've had to struggle, when you've had to dig deep in something, when you've had to really go and dig deep, what you come out with at the end is something amazing compared to when things are just going smoothly. Right? It's something that is so precious. Right? So this is what we're talking about over here. Daika az. When we find ourselves with those thoughts, that's specifically the point in which we can make incredible rectifications. Let's go a little bit weiter. Another point. Lashon Rabbeinu. Anu pirashnu. Lefi haruach shel mamrei sabed be'atuna. Sheiles shel kfira sho'ever al kol echad. So according to the ruach, the general gist of what the wise men of Athens are always bringing to Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, it's the thoughts of kefira, of denial of hashgacha pratis, the denial of Hashem that come into our minds. Kan Rabbeinu nichnas le'inyan kazeh. So Rabbi Nachman enters into this idea like this: Hatzadik meimis es atzma. Tzaddik sacrifices himself. Moiser nafshe beyoser. He gives. He's moiser nefesh. He sacrifices of himself more than usual. The tzaddik knows what he's supposed to do. Tamid hu moiser nafshe. He's always being moiser nefesh. Ma sheila zois. Eifoi tzarich limsor nefesh beyoser. What is he at? What's the question? Isn't a tzaddik someone who's always being moiser nefesh? So what are we asking? Where does he have to do that more? Where does he have to be more of a tzaddik? What's the question? So he says like this: Ksha'adam roitzer lispalo v'nichnasim lo'bebul. When a person starts to daven and confusions come into his mind, ahavois nefulois, fallen love, pachadim umachshavos, fears, and machshavos zaros, and foreign thoughts. Right? B'pashtus tzarich lichazik. The simple understanding is we have to strengthen ourselves. So, fallen loves. What are fallen loves? Once again, our love is supposed to be a very, very powerful midah, and that midah, in its most important, true, and fulfilled sense, is when we have love with Hashem, right? a way that we can maybe more relate to it sometimes is when we have love, very powerful love with someone that we love, someone that we have a real deep relationship with, a spouse, right? Children for sure. We have right, and really, really good close friends, right? We can have such a powerful sense of love, and that's where it's supposed to be. That's when the midah of ava, love, is being directed to where it should be, to Hashem, to our spouses, to our friends, and even our spouses and friends and children are a way to show us what love really is, to channel it to where it really should be, to the highest level of avas Hashem. We say it every day, multiple times a day. V'ahavta es Hashem elokecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol midecha. You have to love Hashem with our heart and our body and all of our possessions. We have to give everything we have to loving Hashem. So that's a different discussion. There's a lot to work on over there, right? But there's a place where love is supposed to be. And if we don't put it in the right place, then it goes to, the latest TV show that someone wants to binge watch. I love this show so much. I love it. Oh my gosh. I love Peking duck. I don't know. Whatever things that you like. I love a good, right, barbecued ribs. Right? Oh, I touched a nerve there. Right? Yeah. Right? I don't know what Sandra's saying, something that she loves also. Whatever it is. I have Rabbi Tats ringing in my ears now. I'm not going to do a South African accent. I can't do it well. But he says about such a person who says like this, he's like, you don't love that chicken. If you love that chicken, you wouldn't have killed it and boiled it in your oven. If you love the chicken, you would, right? You don't love it. Right? Anyway. But when love falls, it takes on these forms, and those are kind of nice forms, right? But it can also go to jealousy. It can go to adultery. It can go to all these really bad places. That's when love falls down, and these are sometimes the thoughts that invade our minds. When we're trying to be holy, we're trying to daven. What starts coming into my mind, right? These are ahavois nefulis, fall in love. It's pachadim. What Rabbi Nachman calls in Torah Chaf, yiros nefulis, fallen fears, right? Once again, our fear is supposed to be to Hashem. Or this fear. Remember, we had this on Monday. Yira, Yud, Resh, Aleph, Hey. Rearranged as Resh, Aleph, Yud, Hey. Re'iyah, Resh, Yud, Aleph, Hey. Anyway, Re'iyah, sight, vision. Fear, it also means perspective and vision. When we have the vision and the perspective that Hashem is here, that the whole world, every moment is Hashgacha Pratis. Hashem is guiding us in everything. Everything that happens is a message. Is Hashem guiding me through whatever I'm going through, right? That is the proper form of Yira. That's seeing Hashem. That's having awe and fear and sight and vision of Hashem all the time. He's always in front of me. But if I don't have that, if I don't put that fear and that vision and that perspective in the right place, where does the fear go? It goes to Hamas. It goes to people carrying flags. It goes to the government. It goes to the debt collector. It goes to the tax collector. It goes to what's going to be with my kids. It goes to what's going to be with my legacy. I don't know. Whatever the fears that we have are. It attaches to those, and those thoughts start going through our mind and start attacking us. Right? What was the last one? Machshavos zaros and foreign thoughts. So the simple thing is, just be strong. Yeah, weather the storm. Be strong. But Rabbi Nachman is teaching us that this is the place where we need more Mesiras Nefesh than usual. Because it's not just, don't think that your job is just to block out those thoughts because you need to focus. Right? I need to focus because I need to get this tefilah done the right way. No. He's saying there's something else going on here. There's sparks of Kedusha that need to be elevated here. That's what these things are that are coming to you. There's cosmic work taking place in your prayer. And it needs to be done. This really needs Mesiras Nefesh. To focus more in a time of confusion. Through this, we're mamish lifting up those lost sparks of Kedusha. We're fixing the world. Umuvan kesher elu ha'ma'amarim be'inyan shebemakam sheyesh yerida v'nichnas la'adam machshavos. And so it makes sense, and it's connected to this concept that in a place where a person has a descent, a spiritual descent, and they have bad thoughts, but it's even when they're busy with tefilah and avodas Hashem. L'chein nafalta. That's why you fell. That's why it happened. That's why you're there. Like we said, if you remember, guys, there's always a hemshech. There's a continuation, a flow from one Torah to the next in Likutei Moharan. Just in the last one, Chaf Hei, we were talking about how this concept that as we go from Kaufman, you were there, remember this? When we go from level to level, when we get to a higher level, right away we're going to be faced with new challenges, and moving up to that new level is going to feel like a descent. It's going to feel like I've fallen away, because now I'm facing the same challenges that I faced in the past. I'm facing difficulties. It's hard now, right? And I don't feel connected. I feel like Hashem has pushed me away. What's happening? And Rabbi Nachman says, don't think that. That's not what's happening. Why are you facing this challenge? Is because you got yourself to a new level, a higher level. And now at this higher level, right, it's a higher pay grade. The job's harder. You got to break through the protectors of the fruit at that level. There's something to access there that's amazing, but the bad guys don't want to let you get it. So they come out against you in full force. We're talking about the exact same thing here from a different angle, from a different perspective. And this is what he says over here. Right? When we find ourselves in this place, we were in a yerida, we're in a place of descent, we're in a spiritually low place. He says, L'chein nafalta, like that's why you fell here. Kedei lahalos nitzoyzes to kedosha memechadash. Because you know why you fell in this place? Because there's something there that needs to be elevated. There's something there that needs to be rectified. There's something that only you, at this time and this place, can rectify. And no one else is going to do it. No one else can do your job in the world. No one else can make your tikkun in the world, like the Arizal says. Only you can do it. That's why you're here. That's why you're in that place. That's why you had to descend, right? You can only remove the sparks, release the sparks, and access those sparks of Kedusha if you go to where they are. And where they are is hidden in the dirt. If they were only up in the high places, we wouldn't have to be born into the world. We wouldn't have to go to Mitzrayim. We wouldn't have had to go to Bavel and to have all these exiles and be in all these different places all over the world. The Svarim HaKadoshim say this is what Galus is all about. Right? Galus, the reason we have exile, and we've been to all these different countries, right? And why sometimes the Jews are like leaving those countries and going back to Eretz Yisrael, because they were in Galus over there, and they did what they had to do. They elevated those sparks, and now they're returning to Eretz Yisrael, right? We have to be in Galus in order to do this. The Gemara says, the Talmud says, that the main reason that Klal Yisrael has to be in Galus is to extract converts from Galus. Which is, if you think about it, it's almost the same avodah that we're talking about over here, right? This is what we do over here. It's specifically, it's daika and afal pikein all rolled up into one. It's not that while I'm here, I better strengthen myself so I can get back on track, so I feel better about myself. That's not what it is. You fell in this place, you're in this challenge because there's something amazing for you to do there. That's what pshat is. So we're going to see also the next lesson in the Likutei Moharan is the exact same. It's going on the same sentence, of the egg, the chick that dies inside the egg. The same thing, right? So what's the difference over there? It says Sham medaber la'anashim pshutim shev'makom she'over alav dvarim achi chashim. When a person goes through the most difficult things, ze ikar hatikun. That's the main tikkun. That's the rectification. And the main way that we access the light of Hashem in that type of place is from understanding this, is from knowing this and being aware of this. You hear this? The thoughts that are coming into our minds, these thoughts that are trying to pull us away from our tamimus, from our simplicity, from our simple avodah of Hashem, right? These thoughts are the place where our main tikkun is found. These thoughts are the place where our main rectification is found. Right? Just right? I know we're not in the Chacham and Tam shir right now, but just focus on the good, simple things, right? Just, if you're a man, just go to shul. Stop complaining. Stop making excuses. Go to shul, daven, put on your tefillin. That's it. To quote in shul this morning, Rabbi Gansberg was there, and a couple of people were talking a little bit too much at the beginning before we were just getting started. I may have been one of the people talking, but so he comes over and says to one of the guys, he says, "You know what LSD is?" And the guy's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, LSD. Let's start davening." He says, "You know what pot is? Put on tefillin." Come on, let's go, guys. Let's just come on, daven. Put on tefillin, daven. Let's go. Let's do it, right?
That's funny.
Just do it. Just be simple, good things, right? Because otherwise, you could spend all morning at home thinking about how forlorn you are and how difficult things are, and this and that, and what am I going to do? I have so much on my plate, and I'm so stressed. I can't get out. I can't get up. I can't do anything. Just stop thinking. Go to shul. That's it, right? Do good, simple things. Sweet, 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 sweet advice. Kan. B'Torah Chavav, Rabbeinu Medaber Metzadik. Here, in this Torah, Chavav, Rabbi Nachman is speaking about the tzaddik. Aval Nikra Efroyach, but the tzaddik is called an Efroyach. Tahainu Shehu Tzadikal Katan. We're talking about someone who's a Tzadikal Katan. This is fascinating over here. He's not the egg. What's an egg? The chick inside the egg, right? He's in infantile state over here. He's at the very, 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 very beginning. A tzadikal katan, a little tzaddik. Yifrach b'yom of tzaddik. That's why the pasuk that Rabbi Nachman brought is Yifrach b'yom of tzaddik, right? We're forgetting. This is such a beautiful talent of Rav Kivak to see into Rabbi Nachman's words a little bit more than sometimes many of us will see, right? We begin talking about an egg, which is the beginning of creation, of growth. Right? And the pasuk that Rabbi Nachman chooses to bring, he could have said tzadika tamar yifrach, but he brought this other pasuk that says yifrach b'yamav tzaddik. The tzaddik is going to flourish. He's going to grow throughout his days. Right? To say what? That this is the beginning. Hu oid yiyeh pam tzaddik. You're going to get there. You're going to end up being a tzaddik. It's going to happen. This is teaching us what to do at the beginning of our avodah. When you're in the state of just being like a newborn egg. If you don't have wings to fly yet, you're not a full blown chicken yet, right? You can't fly. We're in this lowly state. Here he's saying over here, this is where you just have to find these places to be able to cast off the negative thoughts, to focus on the good thoughts, and put in energy at that point to remove yourself from all of these thoughts, all of these negative thoughts that are pulling us out of the task that's at hand. And what's the task that's at hand? Literally to fix the universe, just from our holy prayers. And this is what we can do. So there's a few more over here where he gets into a little bit about Pesach, but we'll do one more, and then we'll plan to start Chaf Zayin, either a little bit or next time. So this is a point that I think is very sweet for us all to think about. It says, "V'amesiras nefesh hachi gadol." What is the biggest mesiras nefesh that we have to do? What is the greatest effort that's required, the greatest point of self-sacrifice that we have to engage in? Now, this is very interesting. This is going to get a little personal, but so he says, the greatest point is la'azov es haminhag hakadam me'atik yomin, is to abandon the ancient, long-standing minhag that we have. What is this minhag? Sheish lanu v'hisragalnu liyos ba'atzvus. What is this, and that we've become accustomed to do, which is to be in a state of sadness. We are so used to it. We're so used to being in a state of sadness. liyos kazeh doeg, to be a person who's constantly worrying, in a state of worry all the time. Umakpidim lo lishkoach belidoeg, and we're makpid, we're careful to not ever forget about worrying. We always want to make sure that we're worrying. I actually happen to have a relationship with a person, not so much anymore, but it used to be that this person used to get upset with me because it's in my nature. I didn't like work to do this. It's just in my nature in general. I don't worry so much. If things don't go the right way, I say, okay, let's see what we can do. We'll try and figure out another way around it. I'm saying I didn't do any big work to be a tzaddik. It's just, it's in my nature. Not to be a tzaddik, to not worry. Some people have other talents. One of my talents is to just not care so much. Just kidding. But anyway, this person would get upset with me and be like, I want you to be upset. I want you to be, because the person didn't feel like I was concerned, right? I could see it. But this person is like, no, we need to be worried about this. We need to be in a state of daiga, of worry about what's going on. Right? We're careful. We can't stop worrying. We have to always be worried about something. Right? I'm worried. I'm upset because maybe I forgot to worry about something. Because we've become into this state where it's forbidden to be in just a state of happiness. I can't just be okay. I can't just be in a state of happiness, right? Like it's not a thing just to be a happy person. Well, this we have to have a serious nefesh. I had a situation. This is funny. This is crazy. This was actually a difficult situation. There was a certain person who I had a relationship with, who felt like a sense of a competition with me, and maybe felt like he should have some of the things that I have, right? Which, as we know, is like the first rule of the Chacham and the Tam. Don't look what other people have, right? Look at who you are and deal with who you are. That's it. That's his thing. This is my thing. I'm my own person, right? Anyway, this person, he was upset that I wasn't upset, or that I wasn't angry, or that I wasn't like in a bad mood, whatever. Because he struggled and he was moody. He's like, you can't be just a happy person. He couldn't deal with it, and so this person like went through effort after effort to push me and to try to make me angry, until I finally just had to say to the person, like, what are you doing over here? Why are you trying to push me to anger? Like, it's not good. It's not gonna accomplish anything. It's not acceptable, right? But like he's saying over here, these are the words he's saying, right? It's become our regular state of being that it's forbidden to just be happy, to be okay. Something difficult happens, okay, I guess we'll have to deal with that. I guess we'll have to figure it out, right? This is a state that we live in very often. It's not. If I'm not worried, if I'm not upset, if I don't have something chip on my shoulder, then I must be doing something wrong, right? Listen, I hear also, because like this other person, you shouldn't appear like you don't care. Obviously, you have to make sure that you give people time and you give people presence, and that you're there to discuss things, right? Which is probably my error at that time, but we don't think that it's a real thing. This is what we need Mesiras Nefesh. Ki yesh taiva geschmakit me'oid liyos ba'atzos. There's an interesting, you guys have to tell me what you think about this at the end. There's a taiva, a desire, like a deep desire. Geschmakit, a real geschmakit desire. I don't know how I want to translate that. To be in sadness, to be depressed, to be down. Kasha lazav, and it's hard to abandon this, right? I don't know if you experience this sometimes. Sometimes you certain people that you go to talk with, and it's impossible for them to say anything good. And the only way that they can exist in the world is to be upset, is to be negative, is to be in a state of complaining, and like they're looking for something to be sad about, to be upset about. It's the only way that they can exist and connect with people. It's very difficult to abandon this. Bekitzer, hochim right? You experienced this before? You've seen people like this? Maybe sometimes we are those people. Yeah? So, bekitzer, hochim lahashoichet. He says, this is classic Rav Kivak. We're basically, what's happening over here is we're going to the shoichet. Right? The shoichet, the slaughterer. Lishchait es hadaigos v'hachaloimos. To shecht, to slaughter our worries. To slaughter our dreams. Not the good kind of dreams, don't worry. Ve'lismayach im hatzitzis v'tefillin. And just to be happy that I have tzitzis, I have tefillin. Good enough. Right? Eze minhag chadash ze liyos b'simcha. What a beautiful new concept this is. To just be happy. Achal matzah v'shasa dalad koises. He's talking about Pesach here. I'm going to eat my matzah. I'm going to drink my 4 cups. Berach has Hashem. I'm going to thank Hashem. Hu b'simcha. I'm going to do it b'simcha. Ha'aschala hu kasha me'oid. The beginning of this is very difficult. Tzarech lezeh mesiras nefesh. And this is what requires mesiras nefesh from us. So he's saying over here like this, right? This will wrap up the whole Torah for us. We saw a relatively simple way to understand what's happening over here, right? And that this idea of the tzaddik in his prayers, when he has foreign thoughts that come, that's the place where he's able to make the biggest tikkunim, where he's able to release souls, to return, to be mevarer sparks of kedusha, right? And we took it from there to understand that this is something that applies to us also, even in our tefillahs. And Kivak brings it to a new place to say that these thoughts are coming not just only in tefillah, but these types of thoughts that come to us, these negative thoughts, they're overwhelming and they can pull us down. They're always attacking us, and they can be like this: thoughts of desires that I shouldn't be desiring. They could be fears that I shouldn't be worried about. They can be these sicknesses that I have, that if I'm not worried, I'm not doing something right. If I'm not negative, I'm not doing something right. If I'm not sad, I'm not doing something right. Right? A custom that we can't shake, that I have to be in a state of sadness. I have to be in a state of negativity. I have to be in a state of worry. And it's hard to break out of that. It's very, very hard to break out of that. Right? We all have problems. Right? And I know people like to tell me their problems, and I don't mind it one bit. Right? We have good relationships with people, and we talk through problems a lot, right? And that's not what I'm talking about. But if you find yourself being in this state of mind where you're always going to negativity, you're always going to worry, you're always going to fear, to things that desiring things that you don't have, as opposed to being happy with what we do have, right? Now, like he said over here, the tikkun is, the biggest tikkun comes from just beginning to realize what's happening and to understand that this is taking me into the wrong place. And these thoughts that are coming are all opportunities for rectification. They're all opportunities for me to release sparks of Kedusha, for me to fix things in the world, just by going into a place of emunah, going into a place of simplicity, of tamimus, going into a place of simcha, as opposed to in those places. So he says, the haschala hu kasha me'od. The beginning is difficult. But, as I always like to say, you guys all know, the Torah that we learn from Rabbi Nachman is always giving us new tools to go into our tool belt. It's giving us new aspects of awareness, and everything that we learn becomes part of us and allows us to more and more and more break through these difficulties and break through these boundaries. And as we grow, we find ourselves getting stronger and being able to deal with things in a better way as they come to us. So from this short Torah that we finished in one class, unbelievable, we should Mitzvah Hashem, be strengthened to face those difficult thoughts with confidence, the calm confidence of emunah, with simcha, and knowing that every time, every move we make against these types of thoughts is changing something in the heavens, is fixing something, cosmically. What an opportunity that we have, Baruch Hashem, that He gives us these lives, that we have the ability to do this. Baruch Hashem, that we have Rabbi Nachman who reveals this to us and helps us to navigate our way through it. And I have to say, Baruch Hashem, that we have this kind of, it's new for me, the Torah of Rav Nissen David Kivak, who is one of the biggest, minds in the Breslov world nowadays, who really has an amazing way to bring it down into our individual lives. Thank you, everybody. Anybody have?